Coco Gauff just survived one of the wildest matches of the Italian Open, and somehow the drama kept getting bigger with every single game. What looked like a routine victory for one of the tournament favorites suddenly turned into a complete battle for survival in Rome. Fans inside the stadium could barely believe what they were watching as Gauff stared down a match point against teenage sensation Iva Jovic before flipping the entire match upside down. And once it was finally over, Gauff didn't just celebrate the win. She immediately turned the spotlight toward her opponent with some incredibly respectful words that told everyone exactly how highly she rates the young American star. This match had everything: momentum swings, pressure moments, crowd tension, crazy conditions, and a comeback that reminded the tennis world why Coco Gauff is already considered one of the toughest competitors on the WTA Tour. But beyond the scoreline, this match also felt like a glimpse into the future of women's tennis. Two young Americans battling under pressure on one of the biggest clay courts in the world. One already a Grand Slam champion, the other quickly proving she may not be far behind. From the very beginning, the energy felt strange. Rome brought difficult conditions, and the players had to deal with heavy wind, distractions around the stadium, and constant interruptions. Gauff even joked afterward that planes were flying overhead, phones were ringing, and everything possible seemed to be happening during the match. But despite the chaos, Iva Jovic looked completely fearless. That was probably the biggest surprise of the night. Usually, when young players face a top 3 seed on a huge stage, nerves show up eventually. But Jovic played with confidence from the first point. She attacked the ball aggressively, stayed calm during long rallies, and constantly pushed Gauff into uncomfortable positions on the court. Even when Gauff tried to raise her intensity, Jovic kept responding with mature shot selection and impressive composure. And suddenly, the pressure completely shifted. Instead of Gauff controlling the match, it was the teenager standing just a few games away from a massive upset. After taking the opening set 7-5, Jovic continued her fearless performance in the second and eventually moved ahead 5-3. At that moment, the crowd could sense history was close. Then came the biggest moment of the entire match. Match point for Iva Jovic. But champions are different when the pressure becomes unbearable. Gauff somehow found another level exactly when she needed it most. Her movement became sharper, her defense stronger, and her mentality looked unbreakable. Instead of panicking, she forced Jovic to play extra shots, extended rallies, and slowly dragged the teenager into deeper physical and emotional pressure. It was a perfect example of why experience matters so much in tennis, even when both players are still extremely young. Once Gauff escaped that match point, the momentum completely changed. You could almost feel the belief shifting from one side of the court to the other. Jovic had spent over 2 hours producing incredible tennis, but closing out elite players is one of the hardest tasks in sports. Gauff sensed the opening immediately and attacked it. She stole the second set 7-5 and then completely dominated the third. The final score, 5-7, 7-5, 6-2, only tells part of the story. This was survival. This was mental toughness at the highest level. And it may end up becoming one of the defining comeback wins of Gauff's 2026 season. What happened after the match may have been even more important. During her on-court interview, Gauff could have focused entirely on her own comeback. Most players probably would. Instead, she immediately praised Iva Jovic and made it clear that the teenager belongs among the best players in the world already. Gauff said she was proud of the way she handled the difficult conditions, but she also repeatedly highlighted how impressive Jovic had been throughout the match. That respect stood out because Gauff knows exactly what it feels like to be a teenage star entering the spotlight with massive expectations. Not long ago, Gauff herself was the young player shocking the tennis world. She understands the pressure, the attention, and the challenge of competing against established stars, while still developing emotionally and physically. So when she praised Jovic's maturity and future potential, those comments carried serious weight. One specific part of her interview really caught attention. When asked about facing a younger opponent, Gauff basically dismissed the entire age conversation. She explained that once players step onto the court, rankings and performance matter far more than age. According to Gauff, Jovic is already competing at a level better than the vast majority of the tour, and that alone proves how special she is becoming. That mindset says a lot about Gauff's own maturity too. Even though she is only 21 years old herself, she already speaks like a veteran leader of the sport. She understands that women's tennis is entering another exciting generation where young stars are arriving earlier and competing fearlessly. Instead of feeling threatened by it, Gauff seems excited by the challenge. And honestly, fans should be excited too. Because matches like this are exactly what women's tennis needs. Rivalries. Young stars pushing each other. Emotional battles with huge momentum swings. The WTA Tour has been searching for consistency in star power for years, and now it suddenly feels loaded with exciting personalities and elite talent. Gauff is obviously one of the biggest names leading that movement, but Iva Jovic may have introduced herself to a much wider audience in Rome. Even in defeat, she earned enormous respect. Taking a top 3 seed to the edge on clay at this stage of her career is not normal. It signals something much bigger. And now the challenge only gets harder for Gauff. Waiting in the quarterfinals is Mirra Andreeva, another young superstar who continues to rise rapidly through the rankings. Interestingly, Gauff has completely dominated their rivalry so far, winning all 4 of their previous meetings. On paper, that sounds comfortable, but the reality feels far more dangerous this time. Andreeva has been outstanding during the 2026 clay season. She already captured a title in Linz, reached the semi-finals in Stuttgart, and made the final in Madrid. Her confidence on clay is growing every single week, and many fans believe this could finally be the tournament where she breaks through against Gauff. Still, history matters in tennis. Gauff has beaten Andreeva at some of the biggest events in the sport, including Roland Garros, the US Open, Madrid, and even Rome last year. That creates a psychological edge that cannot be ignored. When players repeatedly lose to the same opponent, doubts naturally appear in important moments. But if there's one thing Andreeva has shown recently, it's resilience. Her game has evolved dramatically over the past year. She's stronger physically, more patient during rallies, and far more dangerous on clay than before. This upcoming quarterfinal could honestly feel like a passing of the torch battle for the future of the WTA Tour. What makes this storyline even more fascinating is how young all these players still are. Gauff is only 21. Andreeva is still a teenager. Jovic is only beginning her journey. Yet they're already producing matches with the intensity and quality usually associated with experienced champions. That tells you how quickly the women's game is evolving. For Gauff specifically, this tournament could become extremely important for her confidence heading into the rest of the clay season. Comeback victories like this often change tournaments completely. Sometimes surviving one impossible match gives players the belief they need to go all the way. And looking at her projected path, the opportunity is there. Possible matches against players like Jelena Ostapenko, Sorana Cîrstea, or even Elena Rybakina would all bring different challenges. But Gauff's fighting spirit in Rome already looks stronger than ever. She proved she can win ugly, survive pressure, and stay mentally locked in when everything starts collapsing around her. That quality separates great players from talented players. Anyone can play well when things are comfortable. The true test comes when momentum disappears, nerves take over, and defeat feels 1 point away. Against Iva Jovic, Coco Gauff passed that test again. But maybe the biggest winner from this match was women's tennis itself. Because now fans are talking not only about Gauff's comeback, but also about the arrival of another dangerous young star in Iva Jovic. If this match becomes the first chapter of a future rivalry, then tennis fans may remember this night in Rome for a very long time. And now the big question becomes simple. Can Coco Gauff keep surviving these battles and make another deep run in Rome? Or is Mirra Andreeva finally ready to change the story of their rivalry? One thing is certain. After the drama we just witnessed, all eyes are suddenly on this quarter-final. And honestly, if the rest of the tournament delivers this level of tension and emotion, tennis fans are in for something special. What do you think? Was this one of Coco Gauff's most impressive comeback wins yet? And do you think Mirra Andreeva can finally defeat her in Rome? Let us know in the comments below.